Hello, and welcome to the Cryptocurrency News channel. You can see I am winter hiking up a bluff, and this is Pheasant Grove Conservatory in Madison, Wisconsin. Well, it's actually in like Fitchburg or Middleton or something, but it's pretty close enough to Madison to where I can just say it's Madison. So we're actually going to talk about several things that could pump a coin today. And generally, you want to look for a few things if you think a cryptocurrency is actually going to pump. First thing you want to look for, obviously, is big news and announcements. And generally, for a coin, you want to be it needs to be like the first really big partnership, or the first partnership with a company that everyone knows. For instance, VeChain got a huge bump last year with Walmart, but then a lot of the subsequent partnership announcements didn't really pump it any. So after the first partnership, a lot of times subsequent partnerships don't pump it as much because people already gave it credibility because of partnerships. So that's one of the things. You want to get it on the first or second partnership, because if you look at XRP or VeChain, subsequent partnerships generally do not actually bump it as much or bump it at all, unless it's deployment. Generally, these kind of pumps a lot of times aren't sustainable until there's actually utility backing it up, and that's pretty much really far away for any coin just as of yet. We're probably still a year or two away at least. Second of all, you want to look for big summits and conferences. We all know that Swell does pump XRP each year, as it is pretty much unfailing, and we all know that the VeChain summit generally pumps VeChain every single year, and that's not very surprising either. They're actually fairly large pumps. You want to sell generally a week or two before the summit, because that's when it's actually the highest. The third thing you want to look for is exchange listings. Generally large ones, the small ones are okay. If a coin hasn't been listed on any exchange, a listing on Bittrex will actually bump it. But generally the first large listing on a large exchange like Binance or Coinbase. Now, Binance listings are kind of a double-edged sword. Sometimes a coin will go straight down after the listing, and if you see a coin go straight down after a Binance listing, you want to buy it at the bottom because it generally does pop back up. Similarly, if you bought a coin before because you knew a listing was coming and it pops up, you want to sell at that point because it generally does come down. Now, Binance listings I've seen go up to 200% of an increase. Coinbase listings generally are a 25% increase, somewhere between 10 and 25. Unless that coin has never been listed on another exchange before, then it can be really big. Generally, the more exchanges it's listed on before the current listing, the less effect it will actually have on the coin. So that's just kind of how coin listings work. The more large exchanges you already have, the less impactful each listing is. The third thing is you really want to look for pumps, especially Korean pumps, because even for top 3 coins, these Korean pumps can pump it 20 or 20 or 30% pretty easily. So if you look at H-bars, ICX for instance, they both pumped several 100% because of an Upbit listing lately. And that is one exchange Upbit and Bitbank are two that you actually want to look at. Recently, it's actually just been Upbit. And it doesn't have to be a Korean coin. It just has to be listed on the exchange. And generally, they will pump it when there's actually some news coming out. So I'm really looking at things like BTT, because Tron has a lot of stuff coming out lately, and BTT is a fairly small coin, so it doesn't take very much money to pump it. So if the Korean guys decide to start pumping it, BTT can rise 300-400% pretty easily. So you want to look for certain exchange pumps. There are exchanges that, like I said, that pump coins. Upbit is one of them. You can also look at stuff like Crex24, honestly, but Crex24 is only for really small coins, and you really do have problems with liquidity then. Generally, the smaller liquidity a coin has, the easier a coin can actually pump it. So those groups can only really pump Ethereum or XRP 10 or 20%, but they can actually pump other coins 300-400%. So definitely look for that. So those are actually the 4 things you want to look for in a coin to see if it's actually going to pump or not. We have basically like Coinbase, Binance, or big exchange listings, and that's only if the coin hasn't been listed on other big exchanges before. We have summits, obviously, because summits always pump coins up. We have the Upbit listings, and we have like large announcements. Now for large announcements, you want to sell off like maybe a day before the announcement. If you know announcement's going to come, or like a mainnet's going to come, a mainnet would also qualify as like a major announcement. So like for instance, like ONT or NEO, you want to sell off a little bit before the actual mainnet hits, because generally people do sell the news, and it will actually retrace. I would say 2 or 3 weeks before. So basically like big news, large exchange listings, Upbit pumping, and like summits and conferences, and those are the things that we want to look for. Like consensus probably won't affect too many coins generally, because consensus isn't about one specific coin. Like the one coin that consensus could affect is probably Ethereum, but I actually don't think consensus is going to affect any coin all that much. So those are the 4 things that you want to look for if you want to know which coin will pump, or you have an indication of when to sell when an actual coin pumps. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe, and hit that bell notifications button. And here is beautiful winter Wisconsin. Thank you, and have a nice day.